Russ Mitchell. Welcome back to T-Town. I hope you're having an awesome day, my friend.
Oh, that's some good music, man.
Yeah, I mean,
let's kick the tires and light the fires, man.
Let's do it. Let's start with the big game this past weekend. We were talking about it leading into your segment. The Auburn Tigers dropping the first game of 2019 down in Gainesville.
I heard you got a nickname for Bo now.
Yeah, we do. We're mean. We're so mean in this state.
I'm going to steal that. I'm going to use it. That's fantastic.
You need to.
That's fantastic.
Bo Picks, man. Bo Picks.
Bo Picks. Look, dude, that is a tough place. I mean, first of all, that's a nasty place to go play a football game. Y'all would know if you ever bothered to go down there. And, he's a young quarterback going against, and we're going to see again this weekend when Florida plays its third straight game against the team called the Tigers and head out to Red Stick. That's a really, really good team. It's ranked 5th in the country in scoring defense. So at least on the defensive side of the ball, Bo, the freshman quarterback, definitely had his work cut out for him, and you saw that.
All right.
Listen, I think Auburn's got a very good team. I think did we get the injury report on Winslow?
So Booby Whitlow is
out, right?
4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks would project at the earliest. So he's going to miss the LSU game, which is going to be key to them. They've got the bye week this weekend. Then they go to Arkansas. We call that Walmart University up there in Fayetteville. At LSU. Woo! I mean, that's a bad one right there.
Yeah, I mean, they have such a hard schedule. We talked about this before the year even kicked off, so, yeah, it's a bit tough.
But I don't know if they can beat Ole Miss because they got to be able to score points. Ole Miss can put up some points.
Ole Miss played some defense, held Vandy to 6 points. Everyone wants to talk about the offense, but I think this Ole Miss-Missouri game, obviously it's not going to matter because I don't think Missouri is going to be able to take Georgia this year. But, I think this will be an exciting game over the weekend. I think Missouri, for those who haven't been paying attention, and shame on you, too busy making up nicknames for some freshmen in Auburn, but Missouri's got the best defense in the SEC. Missouri's got the best defense right now in the SEC. They did lose the guy who's probably the heart and soul of that team, defense, Cale Garrett, the linebacker, he tore his pectoral muscle. He's out for the year. But, that defense has been a rock. The secondary has been fantastic. Missouri secondary, I know they lost to Wyoming, but Missouri secondary is the second best secondary in the nation behind Wisconsin. I don't see how Ole Miss is going to throw the ball. I don't think they're going to run. I like the Missouri Tigers in that game against Ole Miss.
All right, let's go to Alabama, Texas A&M. We've got to go take care of Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies from College Station. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you do. I got a lot of thoughts.
All right, let's hear them.
So, first of all, that's a spooky place to go, man. Make sure you get a marker and write your name and your telephone number in permanent ink on your chest or your belly, underneath, just in case something happens. That is a spooky place with all the rocking back and forth and spooky. As it relates to the game, I've been really disappointed. I think Texas A&M is my most disappointing team halfway through the season. It started, their offensive line has just not played very well. They're not protecting Mond very well. They've got no rushing offense to speak of. Zero. If not for Vanderbilt, they'd be dead last in the conference in rushing offense. They can't run the ball. And, you can't beat Alabama if you're not multifaceted, you're not beating Alabama. And I don't care where you play the game. And the other thing that really bothers me about this A&M team, and Jimbo has to take a lot of responsibility, is that they seem to be sleepwalking through the first half of almost every game they play.
100%.
Auburn, Arkansas, Clemson. They show up after halftime.
Yeah, just a very undercoached team out in College Station.
I don't know exactly. I haven't been able to put my finger on it. I've spoken to a lot of folks out there, and it's not like Mond is new to the program. He's been there for a while, and now he's been under Jimbo for more than a year. And just, to me, I think it comes down to the offensive line. Their offensive line has been very disappointing in a number of ways, and I think that's really created some, I expect you all, even on the road, to it'll be a good, this whole season for Alabama is like, well, then one game gets a little harder than the next. You couldn't make it any better.
All right. So the big game, the huge game, when you go to LSU, the Florida Gators coming off the mighty win against the Auburn Tigers, as you said, going to Red Stick. Your thoughts of LSU and the Florida Gators?
Well, first of all, the pressure, there's no pressure on Florida for this game. None at all. Because all they had to do was split Auburn and LSU, and they've already beaten Auburn. So, as long as they beat Auburn, they can lose to LSU, and it comes down to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, right? As long as they beat Georgia, they're more than likely in. If they lost it, they have to beat Georgia. They just couldn't lose to both Auburn and LSU. So there's very little pressure on Florida to actually win this game. So that's big, and something a lot of folks aren't really talking about. The second thing is that, I would argue LSU really hasn't played a defense yet this year. They banged up, they knocked out some guys in the Texas game, but otherwise, they played some decent offenses, but they haven't played a really good defense. And here comes the Florida Gators, and we talked about the fact that they're ranked 5th in the nation in scoring defense.
Man, as we circle this game, Russ, and I know it's probably going to be hard because I think LSU is going to win this game by a big margin. Florida didn't have any offense to really travel with Joe Burrow, do they?
I think, to me, this game comes down to quarterbacks, as a lot of games do. Not always, but, Burrow doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Even when you all whipped him last year, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So, and this is a Florida team that's managed to do well. They've had, 3 or 4, they've had at least 3 takeaways in their last 4 games. So, I don't see LSU turning the ball over like that. And I think Florida's defense will stymie them a little bit, but who are you going to cover? Who are you? I mean, I know Alabama's got a good receiving core, but do you realize that the top 8 wide receivers at LSU are all averaging over 13 yards a catch?
Wow.
That's crazy, man. Who do you cover? If they only have 5 receivers and they're all averaging over 13 yards a catch, where do you put your defense?
All right. So when you think about this game, I mean, do you think it gets out of hand for the LSU Tigers?
No. In fact, I think the Oklahoma spread in the Oklahoma-Texas game, and I think that, my rule, never wager on children because they'll always break your heart. But I think the spread in this LSU game is like 2 touchdowns, right? I think Florida's defense, I think their defense is just too good. I know LSU's offense has been on a roll. They haven't played a defense even close to what Florida is going to bring out on the field. I think that they'll stymie Burrow, make things a little bit difficult for him. They will get at least 1 turnover. But I like LSU by 8 to 10.
What else grabs you in the SEC? Anything this weekend?
Well, the Georgia-South Carolina game, I think that this is a South Carolina team that we've talked about it. They can't protect the quarterback, right? And I think a lot of the Georgia fans are upset that Kirby's, they're the number 1 rush offense in the SEC, and they're the number 1 run defense in the SEC, Georgia, right now. But from a pass perspective, they're like 8. And there's a lot, I go on radio and say Georgia, and there's a lot of fans that are upset that they're not throwing the ball more. And Kirby's like, why? Who cares? We'll throw the ball when we have to. We have a 3rd-year starting quarterback who I have every confidence in his ability to throw the ball if he has to. Why should we do it if we don't have to? So, and South Carolina just can't protect their quarterback. They're ranked 12th in the conference in sacks allowed. They're a middling team offensively and defensively. You all know this. So I I don't think that South Carolina will be able to protect their quarterback. I think Georgia wins big. And I don't think they throw it either.
Wow. All right, so we're leading into a huge weekend of college football. We have confidence that
huge.
Yeah, well, no, it is. I mean, it's another weekend in college football, and maybe this is what we call Separation Saturday. I mean, like, Russ, there's no excuse to get out of the recliner on Saturday. None.
Oh, my goodness. The day starts with Oklahoma versus Texas.
Huge game.
Right?
Huge.
And you got some other games that are going on in that early section, too, including some SC games. And then you've got, Alabama A&M. You got a ton of games in the middle of the day. You got Penn State, Iowa. You've got LSU, Florida. You've got, I think, isn't it USC Notre Dame?
It is. Yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
I'll tape that one. I don't know if I'll get to it. There's too many other ones to watch, but there's a lot of football. You remember I told you last week to do your honeydews because last week was going to stink. There just weren't enough good games. Well, now you did those honeydews so you can wake up in the morning, crack a cold one, and start watching football till the sun goes down.
Well, and see, we have a great sponsor, which is Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets. We call it Doghouse Prevention. Like, because we know what Saturday's going to bring. So we send you to Pat's Florist. Go ahead and get the dozen roses, and, it sets you up. It gives you, like, you're in the red. You're in the good side. So it's,
I get my wife flowers every Saturday.
Do you really?
Yeah. That's my get out of the doghouse plan, man. No. It's like, I love you. Here's some flowers. Leave me alone now for the next.
I mean, we are talking to the guy that sent his family away for weekend number one, which I've never.
I sent my family away for this weekend too. It's a big weekend, man. Look, my philosophy is, before they had DVRs and before, I used to have friends record games all over. I had a friend in Lexington. They'd record the games and send them to me on VHS, and I had to wait 3 days to watch the games. Now you can record all the games and watch them all day Sunday, all day Monday, all day Tuesday. You can watch football all week long.
Hey, there's no doubt. No doubt. I mean, it's from the time you wake up. And that's really what I think is hurting college football attendance. It's that 65-inch LED television with a free glass of tea and a bathroom closed that you don't have to be wallowing around. I mean,
the other thing that hurts it is the fact that, yes, you have the TV, but it's also, look at all the games. If there's good games, if it's not like some of the weeks we've had this year. That's the other thing. You schedule bad games, people don't want to come. But it's like, I can stay at home and watch Texas, Oklahoma, flip it back and forth with something else. Then I can watch Alabama, A&M, and then I can watch LSU, Florida, and flick back and forth and, catch out some Penn State, see Jimmy up there playing Iowa. So, that's a lot of games you can watch. If you go see one game,
That's it, because you got to go.
But there's nothing like going to Bryant-Denny, man. There's nothing in the world like it. There's nothing like going to Death Valley for a night game. And there's only one Death Valley. It's in the SEC. I don't know what those Clemson stealing SOBs are talking about. But
yeah, they're lost.
There's only one swamp. No matter how bad things are at Neyland, it's still Neyland, man. There's nothing like going to it. In fact, the only stadium in all of conference football that's overrated is Michigan, the Big House.
Yeah, it's
is.
But their brand of football. I was watching Iowa and Michigan the other day. Man, that set football back 20 years. I mean, it was such a boring brand of football.
I like that football, man. There's no such thing as bad football.
All right. Bo Picks. Make sure you spread that love around the SEC. Russ Mitchell, collegefootballnews.com, collegefootballnews.com. Russ, have an awesome weekend, man.
All right, make sure you return A&M in the condition you got them.
Yeah. We're
talk to you later.
See you, Russ.
Rat poison.
Thanks, Russ. Have a good one, man. Yeah, thanks, Nick. Russ Mitchell, college.